Tonight on 48 Hours.
We believe that our children want and need both parents, regardless of the marital status of the parents, and we're here because we want to fight for those rights.
How far would you go for your children?
All rise, please.
Terry is a high school teacher battling to get his kids back.
My son, now. You bring him out here, right now.
But first, he must face a terrible accusation.
Do you think her father sexually abused her?
Yes, I do.
What are you worried that your father would do?
This is an assassination of the 90s. This is how you remove a father from the lives of children. Bye-bye, Nicole. Bye, Jilly. I'm terrified.
That's my son.
Bobby is a big city cop.
Come here, come with me.
Fighting for the son his wife gave away.
My boy. I want to raise him. He belongs with his father.
And Lewis is a father on a desperate journey.
I have a legal court order to be here.
To see the girl he fears is slipping out of reach.
It's our child, not her child.
Fathers fight back.
All you want to do is be given the chance to love our children.
First up tonight, headlines from today's U.S.-led bombing raids on missile sites in southern Iraq. All planes and pilots returned safely. Bomb damage assessment still to come. Saddam Hussein vows to strike back, but he agrees to let UN arms inspectors into the country and to stop violating the Kuwaiti border. President Bush is sending more than 1,000 Army ground troops to Kuwait. President-elect Clinton says he backs the military action and won't rule out using force himself. A CBS News special report on the raids, Target Iraq, follows your late local news. Turning now to our report on fathers. They often get a bad rap, and some of them deserve it. In just 1 year, deadbeat dads skipped out on more than $5 billion in child support. But what about fathers who are trying to do the right thing? All too often, they say, they are not villains, but victims of a system that keeps them from their own kids.
What's it like to live in a house that's quiet, that used to be noisy with kids?
Tremendously painful.
Happy birthday.
I don't like to spend a lot of time here when the kids are not here, and they're not here very much.
Happy birthday to you.
Terry Stanzel can see his children anytime on home video.
This is the first Christmas.
For a year and a half, while his divorce was pending, Terry was a single parent, raising his 2 children.
He had his second and third birthday here.
Nicholas, now 3 years old.
This is her room. I have maps on a
and
wall.
Jillian, now 5. And when was the last time she was in this room?
Well, 85 days ago.
That's when a Michigan court removed the children from their father's home, following a shocking accusation. Do you have any question in your mind that Terry is abusing your child?
No.
Cindy Stanzel is Terry's estranged wife.
She was depressed, and she had nightmares, and she wouldn't sleep through the night, and she would tell me her stomach ached, and there was nothing I could do about it.
There you go. Upside down.
What Cindy did was take Jillian to a therapist who reported the child was being abused by her father.
Miss America.
Cindy was given custody of the children,
Hear ye, Circuit Court for the County of Emmett.
but only temporarily.
Richard M. Pytosh presiding.
If she's going to keep her children, she'll have to prove in an Emmett County, Michigan court that Terry was molesting their daughter.
Call the case of Derek Lee Stanzel versus Cynthia D. Stanzel.
10 years ago, sex abuse was rarely mentioned in child custody hearings. But today, according to one study at least, charges may be leveled in as many as 30% of the cases. Certainly, sex abuse does happen, but fathers' rights advocates worry that some of these allegations are false and that they're being used as the ultimate weapon in the battle over children.
This is such a strong hammer that when someone pulls it out, they know all they have to do is show it. And the courts say, I'm going to err on the side of protecting the child.
Terry's attorney, Travis Ballard, specializes in defending fathers accused of abusing their children. I find it really difficult to believe that a mom who loved her kids would ever accuse the father of sex abuse unless she truly believed it.
Do you find it difficult to believe that someone who wants custody of their children would go to any extreme to get custody of their children rather than lose custody?
Before the court today is a motion for the return of the minor children.
For Terry and Cindy Stanzel, it's the bitter end of a 6-year marriage Cindy says was doomed from the start.
What can you say about a marriage that on your honeymoon your husband walks off on the beach and leaves you there saying he doesn't think our marriage can be saved?
4 years and 2 children later, Cindy walked out.
He went off to work on a Saturday. I packed up all their clothes and their toys and their belongings, and I left.
Every stitch of their clothing was gone. Every element of having children in the home had been stripped.
Terry filed for divorce and was granted temporary custody of the children. It had to be hard to lose the kids initially.
Incredibly hard. You just, someone takes your kids away from you, they're not there.
I love you. Give me a kiss. Give me a kiss.
But Cindy got the kids back when she filed the sex abuse charge against Terry. You know, there'd be people who would take a look at you and they'd say, she's just doing this because she wants to get her kids back.
I would never put my children through that. Just, no.
Did you abuse your daughter?
No, I did not abuse my daughter.
Anyone would expect you to deny that. I mean, that would be natural. Why should someone believe you?
That's the $80,000 question.
On the eve of the trial, Terry brings in what he hopes will be his strongest weapon yet.
Hello, Dr. Derek.
A hired gun. Columbia University child psychiatrist Richard Gardner, who has already examined Jillian.
We're going to meet with the attorneys right now.
Right.
Do you believe Terry is guilty of abusing his daughter?
I have 84 criteria for differentiating between true and false accusations, and in my evaluation, which is very detailed, I do not believe that he sexually abused that child or anyone else.
Fighting a charge like this can be financially devastating. Terry is a high school band director, making $40,000 a year. What does that cost to defend yourself against those charges?
Okay, all the costs of defending this thing may well exceed $80,000.
$80,000?
Yes.
For the psychiatrist?
Yes.
For your attorney?
Attorneys.
And that's just on this particular hearing?
Just since June 16th. That's correct.
It's going to be tough to get those kids back.
I believe the allegation has great power to it. It's a thought that goes into people's minds. You just say it and people think it. This is an assassination of the 90s. This is how it's done. This is how you get rid of a husband. This is how you remove a father from the lives of children. Like I say, I'm helpless.
This one says Jillian.
And making things even tougher for Terry.
Now it's your turn.
The strongest words against him may come from his own daughter.
Let me ask you a question. You say your daddy touched you down there between your legs?
Yeah.
He did? How many times? 5 times?
The trial, later in our 48 hours.
Ford trucks, the best, never rest.
You're right. Ford does build in toughness. But we also build in things that help you drive safely. 4-wheel anti-lock brakes are standard on Explorer and Bronco.
Built-in child seats are available on Aerostar, and both Aerostar and Clubwagon offer driver-side airbags.
Ford builds tough trucks, but we also build long-term relationships.
The best-built, best-selling American trucks are built Ford tough.
Wow, somebody must think I'm special.
'Cause you got Raisin Bran?
Not just Raisin Bran, Post Premium Raisin Bran. With not just lots, but hundreds of big plump raisins.
Look at all I got.
And these flakes, premium, with not just whole wheat, wheat bran too.
So it's good for for you.
Somebody sure thinks I'm special.
It's me and Mommy.
Post Premium Raisin Bran makes everybody feel like somebody's special.
It's the biggest appliance sale in America at the biggest appliance and electronics superstore. It's the National Home Appliance Sale at Sears Brand Central. America's favorite brands are on sale. Kenmore, GE, Whirlpool, KitchenAid. And many items are at their lowest price ever, like this large capacity Kenmore 6-cycle washer and matching dryer. Save $80 on the pair. Get to the biggest appliance sale in America, the National Home Appliance Sale at Sears Brand Central.
You can count on me, Sears Roebuck and Company. It's the creamiest, the dreamiest Velveeta shells and cheese.
Only one can be the creamiest, because only one is made with Velveeta cheese sauce. Definitely not a powder. The creamiest. There's only one.
Velveeta shells and cheese.
Introducing Viennese Chocolate Cafe. Rich, creamy-tasting coffee with a touch of luscious chocolate. So magical, it could inspire a waltz. New Viennese Chocolate Cafe.
When her son and friend break the law, can one woman find justice?
You can't just hang a person.
Johnny Cash guest stars with Jane Seymour. Dr. Quinn, Saturday.
He loved life until it became a nightmare.
I'm not a person anymore.
Now he has a wish.
I want to die. I hereby grant that a switch be installed.
Can a voice on the radio give him a reason to live?
You got a story everybody wants to listen to.
You want to talk me out of killing myself.
Gary Cole, Craig T. Nelson, a world premiere. The Switch, Sunday.
Must have answered the phone. Said he's not there, but you might want to check anyway.
He's in the rear for $15,600.
Lucas County Sheriff's Department, open the door.
It's a raid, and the police are rounding up the usual suspects.
We have a warrant for your arrest this morning.
Deadbeat dads.
For non-support.
Fathers who don't pay child support either because they say they can't or because they won't.
My wife, ex-wife, she had $50,000 in the bank when I left her. I don't have to pay nothing. Why should I?
That story has become all too familiar in America. But there's another story that hasn't. A story about men who live in a state of fear that slowly but surely they will lose their children. Men who say, just because I got divorced doesn't mean I divorced my kids.
It's a never-ending battle to hold on to, nurture, love.
Louis Anderson is a handyman in Portsmouth, Virginia. He's been divorced 2 years. Anderson has a 9-year-old daughter who he fears is slipping away.
This is her second grade picture. Another picture of her when she was about 5.5 to 6. This here is third grade picture.
The court says Anderson can visit his daughter on some holidays, some weekends, even during the week. That's what the court says.
My former wife would just as soon never ever have to speak to me again, see me or talk to me or deal with me in terms of making decisions in our child's life.
Louis Anderson's biggest fear is that he is becoming a father without a child.
The night after her birthday, I called her from a payphone. Can I come by and see you? I'll see you Wednesday afternoon. I'll see you next Friday. Mom says you're not welcome. It tears me up.
Does it?
Yes. Yeah, it does.
Have you been to court over this? Over the visitation matter?
Many times.
Many times. What? 3?
Total time, probably 10 or 11, and just...
10 or 11 times in court over visitation?
Yes, and access.
We're dealing with custody and visitation, not a divorce.
Okay.
Anderson, like many other fathers, says the system is stacked against men.
Then it goes into right. They want you to pay the money that they ordered. They don't care whether you see the child or not. Just send us your money.
What happens when your ex-wife doesn't let you visit your child?
The child and I are deprived, and she gets away with it. She's not punished.
Recently, his ex-wife moved 100 miles away to Richmond. Now it's a 4-hour round trip to visit Valerie.
I've had court-ordered, legal certified visitation of every other weekend and every other Wednesday afternoon.
And?
I haven't had it yet. Maybe today will be my lucky day.
Given all the divorce in America, trips like this just aren't that unusual. For many fathers, it's an ongoing battle just to spend a few hours with their own children. A battle of the exes, you might call it.
We believe that our children want and need both parents, regardless of the marital status of the parents, and we're here because we want to fight for those rights.
This is a group called the Children's Rights Council of Tidewater, Virginia. Michael Ewing is the president.
We're tired of judges who either don't understand or refuse to acknowledge the importance of fathers.
So Ewing and his group are trying to get a law passed, a law that would establish criminal penalties for any custodial parent, mother or father, who refuses to let the child spend time with the non-custodial parent.
What kind of law do you want to see? I mean, do you want to put mothers who welch on visitation in jail?
No, I really would not like to see any parent go to jail for withholding visitation. But if it takes that to enforce visitation, to enforce a parent's right to contribute emotional support to that child, then fine. Put them in jail if that's what it takes.
There are hundreds of men's groups all over the country. They talk about the need to change the system, but mostly they just need to talk.
I live 1 mile away from my children, and I might as well be living in Siberia.
All you want to do is be given a chance to love our
to
children.
try to be a parent, to do the simple things like to do homework, to just kiss your kids goodnight. You know, we're not asking for the moon.
It's been 7 years. I haven't woke up Christmas morning with my kids in 7 years.
Well, my child's really young. She's only 4 months old, but I'll tell you what, I'll have her smile on my face and in my mind for the rest of the week till I get to see her one more time. It's the most beautiful thing I've ever seen in my life.
Do you see fathers who just, they want to give up?
Yeah, and that concerns me deeply because I think we have one right on the edge. He could fall either way. And I believe he will give up, I really do. And it breaks my heart.
I get so close to just saying the heck with it. And the best thing probably for me and the kids would be just to get out of their lives and leave it alone.
Just walk away.
Just walk away.
After a while, the pain of not being able to maintain this relationship becomes ultimately overwhelming. And they withdraw further and further from the children.
John Jacobs is a psychiatrist who specializes in the problems of divorced fathers with children.
Is there a danger that those guys, at some point, may pick up and say,
well, yeah, sure.
I'm leaving?
Sure they do. They can't. They can't sustain this for an extremely long length of time.
What does this do to the children?
Let's say for a girl growing up in a family in which she has the impression that her father doesn't really care about her or has done such terrible things to her mother that her mother will not allow the father to see her, she's left with the impression that men are bad.
Which brings us back to Louis Anderson and his 100-mile journey each way just to spend a few hours with his daughter.
I'm ready if y'all are.
As he's done in the past, Anderson brings 2 friends with him. 2 friends and a video camera, in case visitation is denied again and he needs proof in court. Instead of getting his daughter, Louis Anderson gets a letter from his ex-wife handed over by her brother.
Valerie, you want to go to visitation with me?
Dad?
She says no.
Denied. Dear Louis, as I have stated and written to you numerous times, please stay away from my home. Infraction of the above will be considered trespassing and enforcement will be through the local police department. It's our child, not her child. It took 2 of us to make that baby December the 2nd. And I was the other half, not somebody else. And I really don't know what to do right now.
You're shaking.
I know my daughter's on the other side of the door. I know naturally I should be allowed to see her, and I know by legal court order that I should be able to see her.
You're hurting pretty bad now, aren't you?
Yeah, I am. And it's taken a lot not to cry.
Someone inside the apartment called the police. The message is clear. Louis Anderson is not welcome here.
I have a legal court order to be here.
As far as the custody, and the custody agreement is a civil matter. We can't enforce this paper on its face. I realize that makes no sense to you. It's obviously valid, it's obviously legal, but we do not get into the middle of custody disagreements. It has to go back into the court.
We wanted to talk to Kay Mitchell, Anderson's ex-wife. Is this Kay? Kay? You said I have the wrong number and hung up. She didn't want to talk to us.
Bye, darling. See you soon.
Despite all this, some people might call Louis Anderson a deadbeat. He admits when work is slow, he falls behind in child support. But Louis Anderson sees himself as a father who refuses to give up. Do you ever think throw up your hands and say, I just can't do this anymore. I just can't.
Yeah, I have. And I look at my shirt, and I see my daughter that I brought into this world. Yeah, I think of quitting, but I don't think long.
Even if you can afford some of life's luxuries, you still need a way to get them home. Which is why the Isuzu Trooper comes with a cavernous amount of cargo space. 90.2 cubic feet to be exact.
850, no one bid 850. Masha, sold to the gentleman in the blue blazer.
Plus it's got a rather large towing capacity. The Isuzu Trooper, practically amazing.
You guys have to eat some breakfast before you go.
I like it anyway. I don't think it's your color. It is my color.
Give your family all the nutrition of a complete meal with Carnation Instant Breakfast. Because life doesn't stop for breakfast.
Now at Red Lobster, our classic event, Lobster Fest. Classic feasts with grilled lobster, rock lobster, and more. Lobster Fest, now at Red Lobster.
The Allies attack Iraq with airstrikes. What happens next? Get complete analysis and live reports from Baghdad tomorrow on CBS This Morning with Harry Smith and Paula Zahn.
See this man's scar and this attack? These are hate crimes, and they're increasing. What's happening to us? Eye on America takes a closer look tomorrow on the CBS Evening News.
When a body is found,
She's dead. It's good that she's dead.
the evidence points to one man, and guess who's on the case?
Am I interrupting?
Knots Landing, Thursday.
Give me my finger back. Give me.
You have to see me and Bobby. We fight to go near the crib.
Ow, boy, she bites now.
Actually, push each other out of the way to get there first. Father instinct took over. Okay. I mean, it was really wonderful.
In court papers, his name is Robert O.
Hey, come here, come with me.
A New York City cop. He's finding that fighting to be a father is sometimes tougher than fighting crime.
Is it your will that Christy Rose be baptized in faith which we all profess to be?
Bobby and his wife Carol are christening their second child, Christy Rose.
Christy Rose, I baptize you in the name of the Father.
Bobby wasn't there for the christening of his first child, a son. That's because Bobby never knew he had a son. In 1988, he and Carol broke off their first engagement. Carol never told Bobby she was pregnant. Then she gave up their son for adoption.
Why didn't you tell him? Because I didn't want him to think, which is very silly and stupid, but I didn't want him to think that I was going to force him into marrying me because I had put such a fuss up about getting married.
And Carol says she didn't want an abortion. Instead, she thought her baby could be the answer for a close friend who had had 5 miscarriages and desperately wanted a child.
Well, this is her wedding.
You'd known Joanne?
Since 3rd grade. Thank you very much for helping to make our day a very special one.
Carol let Joanne and her husband Russell adopt the baby.
What better way? I mean, I could see my child every day, and we even talked about it. We were even supposed to tell him that I was his natural mother. You know, I mean, I had no reason to think that, you know, it would go wrong.
For Carol, it all went terribly wrong.
I saw my child until he was 16 months old, and then I couldn't see him anymore because she wouldn't let me. said, "How could you do this to me?" And she sat there and she held my son in her arms. And she said, "There's nothing you can do about it."
But Carol did do something. She called Bobby. And 2 years after they broke up, Bobby and Carol got back together.
How did you find out you had a child?
Through Carol.
And 3 months later, Carol told Bobby he had a son.
I was helping her move the bedroom furniture around, and we were cleaning up too at the same time. And out of a box, these pictures fell, and she just like jumped over the bed, tried to get them. And I was like, "What's the big deal? They're just pictures of a little child. What are you going crazy for?" And then that night, you know, she started to tell me what happened.
What did you think?
Little by little, I was in total shock. A lot of confusion. You know, it was just a total crazy night.
Did you immediately want the child?
Yes, most definitely.
Why?
Because he's my son.
What does that mean to you?
It means a lot. He's my son. He's my boy. I want to raise him. He belongs with his father.
But the adoptive parents weren't about to give up the boy, who by then was almost 2.
Do you blame Carol?
I blame her too, yes. But we went through all that.
How can you forgive her?
Well, because I love her, and because I care for my son.
You had mentioned you think about him driving, when you're driving.
You know, you just think of so many things. What he's doing, what he would be doing if he was with us.
Bobby has never held his son, but sometimes he catches a glimpse of the child who lives just 10 minutes away.
Is this the little boy? Is this the couple? That's your son?
Uh-huh. That's my son. And you can see what's happening now.
The adoptive mother has spotted Bobby.
You can see him looking back. Doesn't know what's going on. Oh, but I'm just called intrusive. I guess I just shut my mouth, turn around, go my own way. Put my tail between my legs and just go on. Leave us alone. Take off. Go your own way, little man. Unwed Johnny come lately. Leave us all alone. This is our business. Stay out. Get out.
You can't do that.
No, why should I?
Robert O. is now in the fight of his life to get his son back. Already, 2 lower courts have ruled against him. The fact that he was not told of the birth, they say, doesn't matter. He has no right to undo the adoption.
Daddy, wish Daddy luck.
But Bobby refuses to give up.
Call me.
Bye-bye.
Call me when you get there.
During our 48 hours, he's going to Albany, to the New York State Court of Appeals.
Hear ye, hear ye. Matter of Robert O. versus Russell K. Ready. Mr. Grossfield?
Robert O.'s lawyer argues that the state law that allowed the adoption to proceed without Robert O.'s knowledge is unconstitutional.
Are you going to claim that a constitutional right to notice exists in this natural father?
Yes, I am. The petitioner are the adoptive parents. They have the obligation of establishing that all people whose consent is demanded or required have indeed given that consent. They must show it under all of our case law by clear and convincing evidence.
Thank you very much, Mr. Grossfield.
May it please the court, I'm Frederick McGovern.
Fred McGovern is the lawyer for the adoptive parents, who stayed at home and also declined to talk to 48 Hours.
Even where there is a blameless father, his rights still are going to have to be subservient to that, the interests of the child. It may be unfortunate, it may be sad, but the society has a greater interest in a stable, loving, continuous home for a child, which will lead to the child's emotional development and the development of a healthy, normal citizen, rather than having, as would be the result in this case, uprooting a 4-year-old child from the only home and parents he has ever known. That's what's being asked for
Was
here.
the biological mother ever asked who the natural father was during any of the proceedings?
I'm sorry? Was she asked?
Yeah.
No, she was not asked. In 1988, when she went in December of
nobody
88...
asks her who the natural father is. The natural father has no knowledge of her being pregnant, and he's to be penalized.
I don't know that I would differ with your categorization of it as being penalized. I don't know he's been penalized for anything.
He hasn't got the right of his child to have his
Well, first
child
of all,
with
he
him.
hasn't...
Isn't that a penalty?
Could you rip him away from people, the only parents he's known? Would that not be cruel to him, too?
I don't think it would be cruel at all. It's better he'll get it over with now. Then when he gets older, it's going to be much harder.
Mr. Grossfield, could I engage you in one thing that I find somewhat troublesome?
Whether he wins or loses in court, Bobby believes his fight has been worth it. That despite the odds, he's trying to be a good father.
This way I can tell my son, even if I do lose again, that I fought as much as I can. You know, I didn't want to just fight once and say, look, I fought once, that's it. I wanted to show him, to prove to him, and I tried everything I could. There was nothing more I could do.
Several weeks later, the New York State Court of Appeals ruled unanimously against Robert O.
Still ahead on 48 Hours.
Go, Rodney.
Single with children. Would you do what Sherman did?
It's strange maybe on paper, but it's real natural, I think, to us.
And do you believe Terry or this expert witness?
She said, Daddy touches my privates.
She's just lying. You'll find out whom the judge believes.
Just because the Civic VX gets better mileage than any other four-cylinder car in America doesn't mean you'll never stop at a gas station. The Civic VX from Honda.
Today's recipe pasta sauce is from Ragu. Low fat, half the sodium of our original recipe, no cholesterol. Just great taste. Today's recipe pasta sauces.
Divorce and separation derange people.
48 Hours will continue. This is CBS.
All rise, please. Hear ye, hear ye. Circuit Court for the County of Emmett is now in session. The Honorable Richard M. Pytosh presiding.
Call the case of Derek Lee Stanzel versus Cynthia D. Stanzel.
What we are here to determine, Your Honor, is whether a 5-year-old child should be protected as a result of contact, sexual contact, illegal contact that has been alleged on the part of the plaintiff father in this matter.
Terry Stanzel says he didn't molest his daughter. His wife Cindy says he did. At stake, their 2 children.
The best interests of the child in this case would be served by leaving the child in the physical custody of the defendant mother and limiting contact between the child and the father, if any.
Innocent until proven guilty is not the case in a sex abuse allegation. I have a feeling of guilty and now prove innocence.
Court understands that Mr. Stanzel was...
Judge Richard Pytosh will decide the case.
When you first came on the bench, how often would you hear sex abuse charges in a child custody case?
Rarely, if ever, and that was about 8 years ago. Since that time, in this county alone, which is a county of about 25,000 people, we have probably up to 15 a year.
Protecting this child from the predations of her father.
And what's happening today in this Petoskey, Michigan courtroom is now happening everywhere. The number of sex abuse allegations in custody cases is skyrocketing.
It's a tremendous tool to gain leverage or an advantage in a domestic relations situation.
How difficult is it, though, to determine whether these accusations are false or not?
It's extremely difficult because oftentimes it's a credibility contest between the competing parents, and these are acts that are done in secrecy with no witnesses. The child is always a victim no matter what the outcome is, and no matter whether it's true or false. The child is victimized by one parent or the other.
In this case, the child is 5-year-old Jillian.
Mom, are you coming? What do you need help with?
Her mother, Cindy, claims Jillian underwent a drastic change in personality shortly after Terry was granted custody of the children.
She was saying these things that I couldn't understand, and I wasn't going to just turn my back and ignore it. It wasn't something you can ignore.
Over a 2-year period, Cindy accused Terry of either physically or sexually abusing their daughter on 5 separate occasions. The child was examined by both medical doctors and social workers. No one found any evidence of abuse. Nothing until Cindy took her daughter to see a therapist by the name of Marianne Tushak.
What was Jillian like when you first met her?
Very aggressive, very anxious, very depressed in my clinical opinion. Her controlling behavior, her bossiness, her dictating to me how things needed to be, and then her verbal statements of what she said happened to her made me very convinced that she had been harmed by her father.
Do you think her father sexually abused her?
Yes, I do.
The whole truth and nothing but the truth to help you guys. I do.
In order to make a decision, the court has to listen to all the evidence. But a warning, what you are about to hear is graphic.
She was offered to speak and she said, "Daddy Terry touches my privates." And I offered the anatomical drawings to her.
And what was her response?
She marked an X on the stomach area of the adult male and the penis.
What is the significance of that to you, ma'am?
The significance is that he touched her with his penis.
She's just lying. These are creations in Marianne Tushak's mind.
According to the testimony, Jillian told this therapist, even this year, that you had put paper and plastic inside her.
Mm-hmm. You understand, I've been changing her diapers for years now. I was a single parent, and potty training procedures on the toilet, messy bowel movement, "Daddy, come and wipe me." And that's the paper, and I don't know about the plastic. But see, there are some other horrible things, just horrible things that Tushak has come up with that are just she's just creating it.
3 times he put the frosting in her front butt, and 2 times he put the frosting in her back butt. And when I asked her what the frosting was, she said it was white pea.
What was the significance of those statements to you?
This description of frosting would be semen.
This child has been interviewed by other therapists, evaluated by medical doctors. You're the only one who says that this child was sexually abused.
I know.
Why are you so sure when everyone else says no?
Well, I believe her. I believe what she has told me, and
She knew that that female therapist wanted to hear that, and she wanted to ingratiate herself to her, so she told her that.
Call Dr. Richard A. Gardner.
Dr. Richard Gardner, a child psychiatrist, testifies around the country, usually on behalf of fathers accused of sex abuse.
What is your opinion, sir?
My conclusion is, number one, that he showed absolutely no evidence, there's not a scintilla of evidence, that he has pedophilic tendencies. I do not believe he sexually abused his child or any other child.
Gardner reached this conclusion even after interviewing Jillian himself and hearing some of the same stories.
What are you worried that your father would do?
I'm worried that he'll do something bad.
What part of your body hurts you? Point to it. Point to the part of the body that hurts you. Right there?
According to Gardner, Jillian was programmed. He says she was fed these ideas by her therapist and her own mother.
The real danger for this child is not from the father, but the mother, who will use every possible statement, every possible medical sign as an excuse.
Come on, doctor. These are women who love their kids. They're not going to put their kids through something like this.
Then you're seeing different, you know different women than I do. I'm telling you that divorce and separation derange people.
Are you concerned that's what was happening here? That mom was looking for something so she could get these kids back?
Sure, I'm concerned. If someone is trying to use me to go as a hired gun for them, I don't continue to see them.
If the court believes Marianne Tushak, my wife will reach her goal. She will have decimated me, destroyed me. She will have removed the children from their father completely.
During the court's lunch break, Terry is allowed to spend 1 hour with his children, closely supervised. It's the only way he's seen Jillian and Nicholas for the last 2 months.
Jillian, it's nice to see you today. You told me 2 days ago you weren't going to see me anymore.
Well,
I'm glad you're here.
this is the last time.
It is?
Yeah.
I sure hope that's not true. She tells me that today is her last day that I see them. I'm terrified.
I will take the matter under advisement because there are many things that I need to review yet, and I need to review my voluminous notes and to deliberate.
Bye-bye, Nicole. Bye, Jilly. See ya. When I said goodbye to them in the car, it just kind of hit home.
I realize the importance of the issue and the urgency of the matter. So with that, I will issue my decision as soon as I possibly can. Thank you. We are recessed.
Bye-bye.
The decision, later.
A USA Today poll asked readers what car they would choose if they could have any car in the world. Their heart's desire, just for the asking. Their choice? Lincoln Town Car. The Ferrari came in second. Lincoln. What a luxury car should be.
I type 50 words a minute. I type 100 words a minute.
15, 60.
80 words.
118 words a minute. I know the ins and outs of this business.
I know where the bodies are buried.
Stories I could tell you.
What happens if I mess up?
I'll have that nice little chat with my boss in his office.
I need to pick the right delivery service.
I'd say UPS.
UPS. You call up and you want it there the next day. It gets there 10:30 guaranteed.
If they say it's 10:30, absolutely, it's 10:30.
But I don't get coffee.
I don't get coffee.
He can get his own coffee.
No, I don't get coffee. No.
We take a red, ripe tomato, fluffy and mashed potato this side of Idaho.
We make a mean lean cuisine.
We take an angel hair pasta, toast it with lots of wicked marinara.
We make a mean lean cuisine.
We take a ooh-la-la, French cut green beans, roasted chicken like never ever seen. Stouffer's makes a real mean lean cuisine, real mean.
Country fairs are the best.
Yeah, especially the country crock.
Well, there's more to this fair than country crock.
I know, but it doesn't taste as good.
Come spread country fresh taste with fewer calories and no cholesterol. Shed Spread Country Crock. It is the taste of the country.
Imagine a rent-a-car company that offers special delivery right to your door. That's Enterprise.
Here, let me help you.
Enterprise, a special rent-a-car company that gives you special delivery.
2 teenage girls are kidnapped.
It had been over 24 hours, and there had been no ransom call.
Now walk the line with the FBI in a race to find them on Top Cops. Then, this man thought a lab test would prove him innocent of murder. He was wrong, and his life depends on the answer. Deborah Norville reports on Street Stories following Top Cops Thursday.
What are Bill Daly, Steve Lawrence, Dick Martin, and Tom Poston doing with Bob's wife?
You are an attractive woman.
Will you marry me?
Get out of here right now!
It's Bob, Friday.
Go, Rodney. I need to parent. I mean, it comes from inside.
There goes the wave here in the Mountaineer Bowl.
It's Parents' Day at Colorado's Western State College.
There he is. The only thing that a woman can do that I can't do, and that's give birth and breastfeed.
And while Sherman Hamilton has never married, he feels as much a parent as anyone in these stands.
All right.
He has 3 kids he's taken in and raised as his own. 20-year-old Rodney was, and still is, #1.
He's a good kid, and that's what's important. Where's Raymond?
Next came Shyla. She's 16. And waiting on the sidelines, 6-year-old Raymond. Hamilton has just adopted Raymond, and he's hoping to add Rodney and Shyla to the team someday soon.
Good afternoon, Hamilton Sweeney Advertising.
Talk to me, Zimmerman.
A single parent doing double duty. Advertising executive by day dad by night.
No, can't do it. Gotta be a daddy. One thing we want to come out of here this year, we want new creative.
And while single fathers like Sherman Hamilton account for only 12.5% of single-family homes in America,
Have you talked to Tom about the work he needs to have done?
No.
their number has doubled since 1980 to more than 1 million.
Okay, you'll be home about 6. Okay.
New breed, same old problems.
It's a handful because I have to shift my mind now here and shortly and get ready for the second half of my day, which starts with Raymond and Shyla. Come here, Mejito. Good day. There's always one thing after. It's the same thing that a single mother would go through. I'm starved. It's just one parent trying to take care of their day job and their night job, if you will. It's hot, huh?
And all that work seems to be working.
Ray, put that bag in there right.
At least to hear his kids tell it. When you look at other families, mother, father, nuclear family like we were all brought up to believe in, do you wish sometimes that could be you?
Like the Brady Bunch family? Nah.
Whatever.
Tell you the truth, no. I love my family just the way it is. With Raymond and Shy, that's enough. We don't need a mom. I think it'll mess up the whole works.
You're a father, so how do you mother these kids?
I parent these kids. I'm a parent. And we do the best we can, mothers or fathers. And I really don't see, it's hard for me to see a distinction.
But in the eyes of many, at least until recently, there was a big distinction. You've got kids in all these books here.
And over there.
There are a lot of kids waiting to be adopted.
100,000.
Are there a lot of people who want to adopt them?
Not enough.
Dixie Davis runs a Denver adoption agency. Sherman Hamilton serves on its board. Do you remember when men first started coming in here?
Oh, sure. Oh, yeah. When single men would indicate that they would like to be adoptive parents, the first question, of course, 20 years ago was, what's wrong with them? There must be something sinister here. And the old concerns used to be he's gay and he's going to molest a child. And then if he asked to adopt a little girl, well then that's bad because you can't trust him not to molest a little girl.
I think the trend is changing. I think fathers, unmarried fathers, are gaining quite a bit of respectability. I like your haircut.
Oh, thank you.
The most fulfilling part of my life is right here. I enjoy my business. I'm good at it. But when I come home and to sit between Shyla and Raymond on the couch, or give Raymond a rub down, or to go see Rodney in a football game, or go see him enjoying himself.
Rodney, there you go.
It's strange maybe on paper, but it's real natural, I think, to us. Let's go.
The children don't care if it's a male or a female, or if it's 2 or it's 1. They simply want a parent. They simply want to be loved. They want to be safe. And they want to feel like they're somebody.
Be cool.
He's my best friend. I mean, I couldn't say much more about him. I mean, I do everything and anything for him. I mean, like I said, I come to college for him, play football for him.
Well, tell me about your dad.
He's a good person. He takes care of me and he feeds me. I like him pretty much.
You're stuck with me, huh? Well, I'm stuck with you.
Friday, what's making the Golden Girls break up?
I'm gonna go slip into something that will make me look my best.
May I suggest a time machine?
Then, get hip to that jive. Swing with an all-new Major Dad. And how will those designing women get to the inaugural ball?
I suggest you start flapping your wings.
A night of all-new comedy, Friday.
Friday, ha, ha, ha.
Have you seen the pictures of my new house?
Just 2 words for you, pal. Dry rot.
Is it me, or is the porch kind of... Hey, look, it's time for lunch. I think my house just ate my lunch. Buy a house, start living in McDonald's.
If you're a little strapped for cash, get a whole lot of the food you love for lunch in a McDonald's Extra Value Meal.
What you want is what you get.
Ever done any tuck pointing, Randy?
At McDonald's today.
At Ford Motor Company, we're already building vehicles that meet California's strict emission standards for the late 90s. We're the first U.S. manufacturer to build a car with CFC-free air conditioning. And we'll soon have a fleet of electric vehicles on the road. For us, designing quality cars and trucks means keeping an eye on the big picture.
At Ford, we understand that the quality of the environment is one of our greatest responsibilities.
Ford Motor Company, quality is job one. It's working.
We all work awfully hard today. I think we should be as good to ourselves as we can. So I'm gonna treat myself to new Irish cream coffee mate. It adds a rich, creamy taste to my coffee, and it's full of sweet, fabulous flavor. I wouldn't put anything else in my coffee, except maybe new amaretto or new hazelnut coffee mate. So many treats, so little time. New flavored coffee mate. Your coffee never had it so good.
1 week after the hearing, Cindy and Terry Stanzel cross paths one more time. They're here for the decision in their bitter custody battle.
I haven't given up hope yet. I've come close to it at times, but that's what keeps me going, is the hope.
Never imagined it being so painful and so hard, and I can't believe that it's been going on this long.
Hear ye, Circuit Court for the County of Emmett is now in session. The Honorable Richard M. Pytosh presiding.
Hopefully it's the day I watch my children return.
This is the case of Derek Lee Stanzel versus Cynthia D. Stanzel. The case involves two children, Jillian, age 5, and Nicholas, age 3.
But Terry wants more than just custody of his two children. He wants his reputation back.
I know that I'm innocent, and I know that I've been falsely accused for malicious reasons.
The mother must prove, by a preponderance of the evidence, that the father sexually abused Jillian. Mrs. Stanzel has made 4 previous reports of sexual or physical abuse by the father against Jillian. All of these allegations have been investigated and unsubstantiated. The accusations are not supported by medical evidence. It is my conclusion that they are not supported in this case by a preponderance of the evidence. Accordingly, it is the order of the court that the custody of the 2 minor children be immediately and forthwith restored to Mr. Stanzel today. This order and decision is given immediate effect from the bench. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. The court is recessed. Thank you.
All right, please.
This whole thing's been a nightmare.
Cindy's lawyer offers to return the children after school. Terry decides he isn't going to wait.
I believe that she's dedicated to keeping the children away from me. And I don't know that she cares about the court.
Terry, don't you think we should go there?
Yes, I think we're going to try to find the kids.
First stop, Cindy's home.
And there's nobody here.
Next,
Let's go to the school.
to Nicholas's daycare center.
Nicholas is there? Yeah. I'd like to see my son, Nicholas. Can you bring him here, please? My son, now. You bring him out here, right now. Read it. Immediately and forthwith, dated today. Oh, is it nice to see you? Oh. Go find Jillian. The school got out 1 minute ago, so I'm concerned. All you officially need to know is the court order right now.
Okay.
You'll get the rest of it later. Give me a hug. Come here. Oh, that's my sweetie.
All set?
Oh, I miss you.
I saw you yesterday.
Oh, Nicholas. It's nice to see you.
Is it over now?
I don't think so. I don't. I want it to be, but I don't think it is. I don't know if it ever will be. There is nothing to stop her from trying to do this again. Did you get cake yet, all of you? There's a whole bunch. There's a whole bunch more cake.
How do the two of you now, after what you've gone through, give these kids a normal life?
I don't think from the time this thing started that our lives will ever be the same again. Until the fighting stops, they don't get a normal life. and that's a tragedy. It's a robbery of a normal childhood, a happy, secure childhood.
Terry Stanzel's trials are not over. A final hearing to determine the permanent custody of his children is scheduled for April. I'm Dan Rather. That's 48 hours for this week. Coming up now, your late local news. And then I'll be right back with Target Iraq, a CBS News special report on today's U.S.-led raids against Saddam Hussein's missile sites in southern Iraq. But first, here's a look ahead to next week's 48 hours. All he has to do is to become the next president. Hello? All he has to do is make sure nothing goes wrong.
If that's, a mayor, a governor, a senator, or, yeah, you're screwed.
All you have to do is take the best seat in the House.
You need to be ready at a moment's notice. I'm coming.
Behind the scenes. Ready or not?
Let's go.
Here comes Mr. Clinton. A special 48 hours, live from Washington, next week.
They're the most beautiful ex-cops you've ever seen, but they're also the most dangerous. Dangerous Curves, later tonight on Crime Time after Prime Time. Thanks for making CBS America's most watched network. Now get ready for your local news. For a transcript of this program, send $5 to 48 Hours Transcripts, Box 7, Livingston, New Jersey, 07039. And to order a VHS cassette of tonight's broadcast, call 1-800-338-4847.
Experience CBS News.
He'd do anything for money, even murder.
Safe. Open it.
Could this be the kiss of death with Gina? Dangerous Curves, tonight.
This is CBS.